Hello friends, welcome back. My name is Mal. I am the owner and maker of Made by Manny and Mal. In today's video, we are going to be making a Santa suit glitter tumbler, but I'm putting a little bit of a fun, kind of different twist on it. I really hope that you enjoy. This one definitely got me into the Christmas feels for sure. And it was really fun to put together. So I hope that you enjoy it. If you like it, make sure you give it a big thumbs up. And make sure you are subscribed to our channel so you don't miss any new videos. We upload every single Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. Everything I'm using in this tutorial will be linked down below in the description box, along with some discount codes for you and links to all of our social media, as well as our Facebook group and our Patreon group. So if you're interested in any of that, that's linked down below for you as well. Okay, I hope you enjoy. Let's go. We are starting with a fully prepped 20-ounce skinny mug from Craft Haven, and we're going to start with our vinyl wrapped side. So for this half wrap, I wanted the seams to meet up in the middle of the handle because the handle can kind of help hide most of our seams and give us a really nice finished look. So I'm going to start by trimming off the white borders of this vinyl. This super cute vintage Santa vinyl is from the Vinyl Cottage. And once I've got that vinyl all trimmed up, I'm going to start to kind of measure where my half is going to be for this vinyl wrap. I say measure very loosely. I did not actually measure. I just eyeballed everything, and that is totally okay. We have our handle to tell us where the middle of the cup is, if that makes sense. So I'm going to take a little piece of tape and tape it midway in the middle of the handle on that bottom portion of our cup. And I'm going to do the exact same thing up at the top. And then I will bring the tape up over onto the other side, the side that doesn't have the handle, so that we can map out our half split where this pattern vinyl is going to go. I did use my little ruler trick on the other side, the flat side of our cup, to make sure that I was getting at least a straight line. I didn't measure perfectly half and half, but I did want a straight line. So once I had that taped up, I went in with my tape on the other side, and before I laid that tape down, I used my little ruler trick here to get a straight line. Okay, so once we're all taped up, we're ready to start to apply our pattern vinyl. So I'm going to start on the side opposite the handle. So I'm just going to first measure my vinyl so that I can cut off whatever I'm not going to use and save it for something else. I did leave myself a little bit of a seam allowance. So as you can see, I'm marking my spot way past where the half is. And I'm going to use my paper slicer here, or trimmer, to get our little sheet of vinyl. He's so cute, I can't. I'm going to cut off a little piece of that backing so that we can adhere our vinyl to our straight tape edge here. I'm propping it up on my painter's tape so that I can see what's going on. And I'm going to put this vinyl up onto the tape to make sure that I can trim off any excess and that I can get that perfect straight line. So once I've got that down, I'm going to just measure, make sure that I have enough vinyl to wrap around the whole half of the cup. And I do. So what I'm going to do now is peel back that backing and smooth the vinyl onto my cup with my thumbs. You guys have seen me do this a ton of times, but I do want to show you how I do it. So I'm going to pull this backing off, making sure that I keep that edge secured to my cup the whole time. Making sure I don't have any bubbles or anything. You want to just take this really slow, take your time. It is kind of awkward to try to wrap when you have the handle in your way. So this does take a little bit longer than just like a regular normal skinny cup, but it is doable. So just be patient. Once I have it all the way around the cup and I'm hitting the handles, I'm going to get rid of that excess backing. And as you can see, I've got the vinyl pressed up against the handle, and I'm just going to make a little slice with my craft knife where the vinyl is hitting the handle so that I can wrap those pieces individually around the handle. So I'm going to take this bottom piece first and just smooth it down. And then I'm going to, because it's just a little slit and that handle's a little thicker, I'm going to have to cut off some excess. So I'm going to try to pull it tightly like up around that handle where it hits, and then I'll trim off any excess with my craft knife afterwards. So I'm just going to go in and try to cut right against the handle. I don't want any gapping, but I also don't want this little tiny piece of vinyl in my way. So you can see, or maybe you can't see because the handle's in the way, but there's a little tiny piece right there that I'm going to trim off so we have a flush meeting of our vinyl and our handle. And I'm going to repeat that exact same process up at the top. I'm going to trim off the excess from the top portion of the vinyl just because of the way I sliced it. It really doesn't matter as long as you slice, you know, up by the handle. It doesn't matter if it's on the outside or inside. It's okay. So I'm going to trim off that excess and then we should be good with our wrap here. And I'm going to just pull up the top rim tightly and trim off the excess how I always do. So I'm taking my knife right up on that top rim and I'm going to cut off this excess and then I'll go back in and hold my knife at an angle so that I can get off all of that other excess. And I'm going to also trim where we taped off so we have our clean half and half separated. So here I am trimming off the excess from that top piece where we met up with the handle. You can kind of see it's a very small little piece of vinyl, but it really makes a difference to trim that off. So then I'm going to remove my tape and I'm going to repeat the process throughout the cup. We didn't tape the middle off, so I'm kind of just freehanding it. It is awkward to trim because the handle's in your way, so just take your time and try to get as good of a cut as you can. It is kind of difficult, but you can do it. And then I'm just going to follow my tape line on the bottom half of my cup to cut off the excess at that half. Then I'll flip my cup to the other side, the side opposite our handle, and I'll trim off that excess over there using that painter's tape as a guide. I did rip off or cut off the other painter's tape from the other side, but you don't have to do that. So here I am, I'm just going to take it really slow. I did speed up that footage. I definitely don't cut that fast, but I wish I did. And then I'm going to finish the bottom how I always do. I'm going to pull that vinyl tightly up over that bottom rim and then cut off the excess with my craft knife so we have a nice finished edge on the bottom. So here's our half wrap. Now what we're going to do is tape off the other half, the half that doesn't have our vinyl on it, so that we can start to glitter our little Santa suit. So I'm just taking my normal painter's tape here and taping off that vinyl area. Take it slow with the handle. We're going to tape off each section, so the bottom section, and I'm going to put some tape in that middle section, and then we'll do the top. So we're fully taped off because we are going to glitter the handle with our Santa suit. Once I've got my tape all laid down, I'm going to measure and find the center of this half so I know where to put like the middle of Santa's coat. So I'm just eyeballing it really. I'm just trying to find the middle and I'm going to mark it off with a pencil. And then I'm going to take my painter's tape, the same one I've been using. I think this is a little over an inch thick. I'm going to draw a straight line and I'm going to place the tape so that the middle of that line is in the middle of our tape, if that makes sense. So I'm just laying this right in the middle. I want this to be as even as possible. Obviously not perfect because I didn't do any exact measurements, but we're going to lay that piece of tape vertically, and that's going to be like our white section of Santa's coat. I'm going to take another piece of tape and place it horizontally in the middle of the cup. That's going to be where Santa's belt is going to go. And you just want to make sure that this is laying straight, that it's not like swerving diagonally. Obviously, Santa's belt isn't diagonal, so just try to get that as straight as possible. So you should be left with like 4 quadrants that are bare and exposed stainless steel along with your handle. We're going to paint those red, and I'm going to trim up first right along this like middle square. So I'm trimming the top and bottom of our white suit, and then I'm going to trim the sides too. This is just going to make it easier for us to peel up the tape as we go through our painting and glittering process for each element of Santa's suit. I marked off each tape section just so I would kind of know what goes where and not confuse myself. We're going to use Celeste, which is a new glitter from PDB. It's from the most recent glitter pack. I have used it in a video before. So like I said, we're going to paint this red. I used Vivid Red from Montana Colors, and I let it dry about an hour before I went in with my Crystal-Lac glitter glue. You guys know I have been so obsessed with this lately, and if you didn't know, you can order this glitter glue at Craft Haven, and you can use my discount code MANIANDMAL for 10% off. So after I applied that glitter glue, I'm going to go in with the Celeste glitter. This is a perfect Christmas Santa red. It's a multi-size mix, so it has a lot of dimension and a lot of reflection, which makes it super sparkly. And when I applied my glitter glue, I did those first 2 quadrants in the handle, and then I did the other 2 quadrants. You can definitely do them all at one time. I don't know why I broke it up. There's really no reason. So then once I was done glittering, I pulled up the horizontal piece of tape, and we're going to do Santa's belt next. We are going to let our red glitter dry for the full 2 hours before we go in and do Santa's belt. But once it was dry, I took some black acrylic paint from Arteza, and I'm going to base coat this belt section so that we have a nice dark base for our black glitter. So I'm going to let this paint dry about 30 to 45 minutes, and then I'm going to go in with my Crystalac glitter glue and we can do our black glitter. For the black glitter, I did make a kind of custom mix of Midnight and Firefly, both from PDB. I used mostly Midnight and then just added a little bit of Firefly to give it that extra sparkle. I'm going to very carefully apply it to this section. I don't want any contamination, especially with the black migrating, so just be really careful as you're glittering. Immediately after glittering, I'm going to remove all of my tape, including the tape from the Santa vinyl pattern side, so we should have no tape left on our cup, and I'm going to let this dry another 2 hours before I go in to do the middle white section of Santa's coat. I also just oh my gosh, look at that in the sun sparkling. Oh man, love it. So I'm going to base coat the white for Santa's suit with this titanium white acrylic paint from Arteza. You can use any acrylic paint you want. If you wanted to tape off your glitter and spray paint, you can absolutely do that. Just remember the glitter isn't sealed, so it might move a little bit. I'm going to let that paint dry about 30 to 45 minutes again, and then I'm going to go in with, you guessed it, the Crystalac glitter glue. Spread a very thin layer of that on this white section, and then I'm going to use Flurries from Peachy Olive Glitters. It's a really fluffy pearlescent white, and it's perfect for the middle, kind of fuzzy part of Santa's suit. I did do 2 layers of glitter for this section because you could see a little bit of the brush strokes and everything underneath this glitter. So I did do 2 layers of this. I waited 2 hours and then went in right over it with the same glitter glue, a very thin layer, and then just added the glitter right on top of that. I let everything sit and dry overnight, and then I went in to seal all of my glitters up using the same glitter glue. I'm going to go section by section, color by color. I'm going to wash my brush in between because you will get a little bit of glitter on your brush as you seal, and the whole point of sealing is to not contaminate, so make sure that you're rinsing your brush in between sealing your colors. Just make sure that you don't do too thick of a coat, but you should see a little bit of that white. That's totally okay. It'll dry clear. See, it dried clear and we're ready for epoxy. I did let the glitter glue dry a little bit more than 2 hours. 2 hours is the minimum. And I'm going to go in now with my first coat of epoxy. I'm taking 30 milliliters of a little extra ink epoxy and just applying very carefully to the entire surface of the cup. After about 4-ish hours, I did go back in with a second coat of epoxy. That one was about 20 milliliters. And once that cured, I did all of my sanding. There wasn't too much, but I did smooth out some of these little spots where the glitter just kind of stood up a little too much. So now we're ready to go in and add all of our decals. We don't have too much decal work to do on this cup. I wanted to keep it really, really simple, but we're going to add some side striping to finish off our split. So I just cut this out of red Oracal 651 vinyl, and I cut these at 11.5 inches long by 0.15 inches wide, and I'm just placing them on that seam where our 2 halves meet up. I'm going to trim off all of the excess from the top and the bottom, and then I'm going to go on to the other side, and we're going to add the same vinyl striping to the side with the handle, but I'm going to trim it into 3 parts, obviously, so we can get the top part, and then we'll do that little strip underneath the handle, and then we'll do the bottom part. The top and bottom portions were really easy. The biggest thing is just making sure that your lines are straight and that it's going to look like one solid straight line versus 3 separate lines that you're putting on your cup. So you want to make sure that they're as lined up as possible. Obviously it doesn't have to be exact because you're just going to be looking at this. You're not going to measure it and check it and all of that stuff, but just make sure that you get it as straight and as lined up as you possibly can. So I did that top portion first, and then I went in and did the bottom portion, and then I saved the hardest part for last. I took the remainder of that stripe and I just tried to get it in there as straight as possible. I ended up laying it down, picking it up, readjusting it. It's just really hard to kind of get into that handle area. So if you need to use your weeding tools or your tweezers or whatever you have to kind of help you get in there, and get it straight, I would definitely recommend that. So here I put it down and then I'm going to readjust it and take it off again. But I just left that whole strip as long as possible just to make sure that I had enough. And then once I had it laid down where I wanted it, I trimmed off any excess from the top and the bottom. Okay, so now that we've got our side striping all on our cup, here's what we've got. It looks really clean and a lot more finished now. So the only thing left to do is finish the bottom of our cup and add Santa's classic belt buckle. The size of the buckle depends how big you made Santa's belt, the size of your cup. Mine is about 2 inches. I just did a square and then sliced out a smaller square from the middle to make this shape. And I'm just going to place it right in the middle there. And this is the champagne gold textured vinyl from Tech Wrap Craft. I love it. It's just like the perfect champagne color. So I'm placing this right in the middle where the white and the black meet. And I have a little tiny bit of extra white glitter that you can see on the top and bottom, which I was totally okay with because it just adds to kind of the realism of this. Like that's supposed to be kind of a fuzzy part, and that would kind of show in Santa's belt in the middle, if that makes sense. So now I'm going to tape off the bottom of my cup and paint it with the same red spray paint, that vivid red from Montana Colors. Let that dry about 45 minutes, and then I'm going to go in with my final coats of epoxy. I did 2 final coats of epoxy. I use a little extra ink epoxy for all my coats. Each one was about 15 milliliters, and once they were all dry, we were all done. I love how this cup turned out. It is so festive, and I just love Santa. I love these cute little vintage Santas. His face is so cute, and I really like how this turned out. I hope that you do as well. I hope this inspires you to create one of your very own. If you do recreate this design, please be sure to tag me in your photos at Made by Manny and Mal on Instagram. I would love to see what you create and show your cups some love. So thank you so much for watching. I appreciate all of you. If you like the video, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up and make sure you are subscribed to our channel so you don't miss any new videos. We upload every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. Okay, see you in the next one. Love you. Bye.